Welcome all. Thank you for participating. As said, I coordinate technically the system Chakras, which is a program of Aapresid. We work specifically on generating responses to specific farmer queries in different production topics and trying to cover the needs of dynamic work groups. It's a work group thinking of the reality of farmers and entrepreneurs, and everybody works with everybody else in a horizontal fashion. The farmer has his requirements, puts them on the table, participates in the answering period, but at the same time, the scientists, experts, those who know about the topics that are new and not part of book knowledge, well, they will be coordinated by a technical responsible person who will coordinate all of the activities so that knowledge will actually happen and be developed. I'll introduce Pablo Sonzogni, who's a technical responsible person of the development of BIOINNOVA Aapresid chakra and works for the agrarian school of the Littoral University. He is a facilitator from AFP, has a degree in biosustainable biobusiness, and he has been a professor in different groups in the province of Santa Fe and CREA Santa Fe Centro. Our expert is Maria Jimena Estrella, has a PhD in the University of Padova, Italy. She has a master's in the Turin University in Italy and a degree from the National University of UNCUYO. She has over 10 years of experience in the matter, and she connects the university with public and private players. She's involved in innovation projects and teaches in the PhD on managing businesses related to agrarian. Works for the University of UNCUYO, and internationally she works for Obreal Global on innovation, entrepreneurism, and strategies for business. And then Maximiliano, who represents farmers and agronomists, a member of the technical board of BIOINNOVA and of Aapresid, and is a co-founder of Biological. Good morning, everyone. I represent our group in Chakra BIOINNOVA. Let me tell you how we were born. It used to be value-added chakra in the past, or small holding bio-added information. But after a frost back in November, the sunflowers were lost, and farmers who founded the chakra at that time, 7 years ago, decided they had to do something else, something different from what we have been doing, producing. And so they sat together, and the first thing that came to mind when you do agriculture or cattle, let's think of making oil, extruding oil with soy. And they got together with experts, and they thought that value added was not just that. There was something else. Inventure was created as a result. You can find it in the commercial area. they want to invest on startup companies and make them grow. It's startups that have been validated by the partners of Investa. And a year ago, Biologica was founded because there was a niche that was not being taken care of in inputs. And as farmers, we had lots of offers, but did not know what bio input to use or how to use it. So that's what we do, analyze business niches. And that's why Elena is here and Pablo as well. We try to solve, as farmers, problems to solve them in a different way from what we do every way, for the sake of diversification. Hello. Good morning. Thank you, Maxi, for your introduction, and Magalí as well. Thanks to you, the audience. It's a pleasure to be here at this such an important event. And I'll talk about the questions that we pose to ourselves and what to do, what we do at BIOINNOVA, our chakra. So, to get started, what do we do there at the chakra BIOINNOVA? Well, from the very beginning, we were saying you test market niches to see if bioeconomically they could be tapped as business. Yes, it's that. It sounds simple enough, but the challenge is making it practical, not simple. Maxi was saying that our chakra not only deals with that, but also deals with people. And it has a peculiarity that is its own strength, among others. It's geographically located in a biodiverse area, and also what we devote to is different in all of these areas you see on the map. And all of these people may meet face-to-face or virtually to share whatever needs to be shared regarding demands. A lot has to do with environmental passives or lacks and liabilities, and to try to transform those liabilities by adding value using science as a basis, making it a good business. And why bio-business in particular? Because there's different economic activities in Argentina focused on sustainable tapping of biodiversity. So tapping on anything and everything that is related to generating a product or a service, generating byproducts, co-products, many times called waste. But we believe that that is liable to the possibility of adding value to it based on constant innovation, not just adding value, innovation in the process, in the product itself, or in the service. One of the questions a lot of people ask is, well, you are at the BIOINNOVA chakra and involved in bio-business. How do you invest in bio-business without making a mistake? Well, the question is there. There's not just one answer, but what do we do to make it work? And in the first place, I think it has to do with taking a leap of faith and or creating a bridge. We don't know whether the bridge will be workable or not, but when you take a leap, you look around to make sure that on the other side there's something where you can land after jumping. In our case, using the same metaphor, we focused on something that I will talk about in the next few minutes. which has to do with reinvesting, pre-investing. So we don't commit resources without doing pre-feasibility studies. And this has to do with identifying a few things. Number one, the value of time. There's so many ideas to tap on byproducts, on transforming or innovating or adding biotech and heating unsatisfied, unmet needs that are part of a niche. You know, so many opportunities that we wouldn't be able to tackle them all thoroughly before making a decision. Number two would be the risk out there, the risk of making mistakes in analyzing the information, all of the data. Our chakra has a broad range of contacts and biodiversity. They are very willing to work, getting involved, and this generates a volume of information with quality that you can't even find in writing or in AI. And this leads us to finding yourself talking to an expert, talking about something that has never been written or spread, but it has to be written and sorted out. And number three, if we were doing this individually, we might be discarding projects that might be good, or vice versa, getting involved in things that might end up in failure. So the challenge of the question is not just how do you invest in bio business. We have changed the question, how to assess projects in bioeconomy before committing your resources. So all of the information comes up, appears, but it's not sorted out, and you need to move from theory to action. And our proposal in BioChakra, BIOINNOVA Chakra, would be, or is, rather, sorting things out with a certain methodology that was not even written down at the beginning. And the tool being used was we ourselves in discussing and then making decisions based on the discussion. The methodology implies having something at hand that would allow us to systematically detect and validate opportunities to transform them into real undertakings with an impact. So I have my method, what to do first, and then how to go on in an orderly fashion with a methodology, with a certain theory, but adapted to reality, to a chakra, and at the same time sieving or filtering certain things via a pre-feasibility study in order to decide whether to keep going or not. So what's our method? This was supposed to be practical, so any farmer in the chakra, be the person a specialist or not in analyzing business, he should be able to take care of this. So we have an Excel worksheet, spreadsheet with certain modules. There you are looking at them. This is our method. 6 modules. The sheet is divided into part A. So we have an idea, a trip to Holland. Many ideas came back from Holland. So what to do with them? We define the idea, what needs are met, why is it a necessary project. Then it goes on to the spreadsheet with a part A that is an analysis, a process analysis, a technical and economic analysis, and then a financial analysis. So, number one, market analysis. That would be it. Defining what market we're on, where we stand, and validating the fact that this niche has not been met yet, because that's part of what we want to do, meeting needs. And a second step would be analyzing the 5 competitive forces with a number of questions. Biobusinesses, and depending on the profile of the chakra, we will decide on market dynamics affecting the chakra, who are the main players, how they may be conditioned, and what barriers in and out you would find.
The technical part is for every one of us to know the value chain for a product or a service. To detect mainly the data item here is where the bottlenecks are, because innovation has to see how to improve a portion of the process, how to make it more efficient, especially in the correct context. Do we need to sort logistics out? Yes. So let's see what innovation we can have there, or whether we are getting into something larger. The best sizes location, depending on the niche, we use different methodologies, but very synthetically, it is defining where we will be placed. If we are thinking of a project associated to making use of a peanut industry, we will not go down to Patagonia because we will need to move all the raw material there. That is an example. And the scale is the scale you need to have to meet the needs you have identified in the market analysis, and also after that thinking of investment, because we are talking about bioengineering. You have to think of industrial plants. The challenge there is to identify the minimum size you could be talking about, to then start adding a number, which is typically where someone who engages in analysis goes straight to that. Show me the numbers. The challenge is the other part. Opportunities and threats are external factors you cannot control, but you can anticipate. Either you make the use of an opportunity or detect threats on time. In our systems, threats are climate related. All right, let's do this, let's do that at such a place. But if you have frost with a certain regularity, and you are doomed, and you were thinking of a niche crop as a kiwi and avocado, and you know that you are out of the game. So you can think that you will need to invest in frost protection systems. And then there is a synthesis, a summary. What do we keep of all the above? What things do we need to make a decision? And based on that, we start moving forward and making a decision. There are 3 things to define in this instance. If we don't move unanimously and we say this is not the time, so what happens? Will it leave it without the project site that will go to the archive? And so it is part of a project. And then another question is, who is interested? Because not the 22 companies could be interested. So a more consolidated group of interests is put together, and it moves forward deeper beyond pre-feasibility. And something I did not say, but did say at the beginning, is that this pre-feasibility analysis looks at the financial economic analysis at the pre-feasibility level. There are major indicators we typically look at, such as the current or net value, ROI, and others. Methodology, all the quality information is sorted. It is versatile, as we said. We have niches as to what to do with microalgae, niche crops, and we were able to test that it's versatile and that they can be applied. Something that is also vital it screens vital aspects. There are some things that may not be needed now to look at this project. And then the uncertainty level is reduced, as I said before. You check and you reduce this risk outcome. Maxi said this at the beginning, so I'll be quick. One of the projects that came up and was actually implemented is the Ecobosque Ganadero with carbon bonds, Biologica, Maxi told you, and Venture, that is an investment fund. Given the versatility, we have a different possibilities to go forward. For instance, Argentinian ocean fishing residue, bioengineering, but a low scale, meaning that it may be applied in Mendoza, Santa Fe, or Buenos Aires. We are assessing biochar from the different sources, and we know that by biochar there's a gas that can be purified, and from there we get some biofuel or bioenergy. We are looking at exportable forage, especially alfalfa for export, with all the challenges, but that can be adapted to other forages. Biofuel, as I said, biomaterials from agri-food chains, green hydrogen, and niche crops. And in the case of kiwi, we are in stage C, looking at whether we go for a trust, for a company. The story of La Chacra BIOINNOVA is an example of how shared knowledge and doing creates tangible results. The opportunities are there. Our challenge is there. Look for them and in a team. What happens? In a team, you make things happen. People there learn, say what they think, and especially about a project before what could happen does happen. Thank you.
Gracias, Pablo. Ahora, por favor, Jimena, nuestra experta de la chacra.
Bueno, muy buenos días. Me parece que me queda un poquito bajo. Ahí está, estoy más cómoda. Bueno, muy
Good morning. It's my pleasure to be with you to supplement the vision given by Pablo about the method and contribute with other items which we understand have to be taken into account at the time to look at biobusiness. Biobusiness with its peculiarities and look at them in terms of what it is all about. It is the equation of risk and profitability. How we look for high profitability rates, which we are looking for, reducing risk, even knowing when the more risky businesses are the ones that have a higher ROI. That is the combination we'll try to approach to have a complete analysis scheme so that we can have and use our opportunities. There are 4 items on screen that we need to take into account at the time to review a biobusiness. Pablo talked about methodology to formulate and assess projects ad hoc designed for this type of business. And let's think of other 3 important elements. One associated to market trends, what's going on in the market with consumers at large, and specifically in the agricultural sector, that can give us an idea what consumers may need, thinking that at the end of the day, independently from the business model we have, the consumer is the one that at the end of the day will buy my product or service, validate or make my business to have an outcome. Another important element is the business model, because I can have an excellent project to formulate, to assess it, but I may have an inadequate business model, and so all that potential profit be lost. Something else that's very important is associated with the team, the human resources used, and also now what AI I can use as well. It's a differentiation. It's an edge I have to use. Talking about trends, we always monitor from my course associated to large international companies that through sales data monitor what's going on with consumers, what they want. And this is very interesting because trends that for a long time have been identified effectively do actually come to fruition. Some smaller niches in some countries in the world, and thanks to communication and globalization, they start happening all over the world. The first very strong trend we all see, and I'm sure it's a conditioning factor for our purchases, is associated to a healthy life, determined by longevity, the expectation of life, life expectancy, longer and longer, but in a healthier manner, to live those years in a healthier manner, and that is conditioning our consumption. In terms of products, vitamins, supplements associated to longevity. That is 139 billion US dollars. It's a growing market. And the statistics show that everything that is wearable associated to health, that monitor variables and so on, have an annual growth rate in excess of 8%. Sales show that the world population, we're talking worldwide, is interested and is actually spending money to improve health. A second trend called smart wallets. In Argentina, this is very clear. Maybe other countries need some explanation. Has to do with a good use of the little money that there is. After COVID, wars, and economic crisis, this trend has increased, and it's clearly seen that over 60% of consumers say that today they look for information before any purchase. The number and the amounts of impulse purchases have been reduced drastically, and so we companies have the challenge of providing that information quality-wise, but also how we get to the consumer. And a third trend, it's called ecological by Euromonitor, a trend that used to refer to sustainability before. Consumers were thought to be interested in ecology, but people now say that they are interested, but as far as they can pay it, provided that price gap is reasonable. The attribute itself of being environmental or environmentally friendly or plastic free or all the environmental conditions are not enough to guarantee sales. So I need to link it to an actual need, to my concern about health. So there are many purchases associated to sustainability growing when they are associated to attributes linked to health, when the environmental variable has an impact on health. Say an organic product which may contribute to healthcare somehow. And here we also see high growth rates in sustainable products based on science and associated to health. A fourth trend that Euromonitor calls filtered focus, it's not self-explanatory, but it refers to the piles of information and communication around, which requires a communication strategy adjustment to support easier labels, instructions, or differential attributes. Let's think that in developed countries in these last 8 months, 23,000 new brands have appeared for mass consumption products, 23,000 new offerings for consumers with differential attributes. How to navigate that ocean of brands is one of the new challenges. And a fifth trend associated to ambivalent AI, as Euromonitor calls it, this combination that we feel attracted to AI, but however, there is a dimension of concern and lack of knowledge. We have not as yet made out how much positive there can be, and Euromonitor says that it is a tool that will change all the consumption and work dimensions, and at corporate level, this needs to be sorted out. This as general consumption trends. Now we will dive into agriculture. Without ruling out the trends in the general arena, consumption trends are general but are also focused on agriculture because consumers don't have purchasing decisions in compartments. They may buy agricultural machinery, but also they buy supplements, vitamin or functional food. So we need to understand the consumer logic comprehensively. In agricultural trends, let's focus in automation and robotization, which I don't need to explain. You just go to the commercial room out here and see the great and large offering we have. This is clearly shown by the sales, which is growing hand in hand with climate change, with water restrictions, and the phenomena agriculture is subject to, and a strong trend associated to biotechnology, developing from science in the use of biological resources to develop different products. And when we talk about biotechnology, we're not just talking about gene editing, which is a technology that has overcome or becomes after transgenesis, but is doing more modern things such as protein design, new developments that will change the way we do bioinputs. We work with seeds, we work in agriculture at large. And this is this because, well, okay, I need to wrap up. So in terms of project formulation, Pablo has said this very well, but here include variables, as we said at the beginning, of risk, cost, and precision. The better the level of development or the depth of my investment project, the more costs I will incur into, but more precision I will have. What do we want to do when we're looking for a business model? To have that trade-off between cost and benefit, knowing that the more I invest in getting to know and getting TIR and BAN, the closer I will be to know my business profitability, but it takes time. That is an approach, and nothing will replace the effective execution of my project.
As I was saying at the beginning, well beyond the formulation of a project, we need to consider each company and the business model the company will wish to carry out. There's different businesses in economy. It's being studied because it's not traditional business models that we're talking about, and this will vary. We're talking of a product or a business model for substitute products. We're talking of new processes and new products. That is it bioplastics? Then it'll be one model. Then if I work with genes, protein design, or natural solvents, my model will be different. each with their own particularities, peculiarities, and it's necessary to design the investment project, but also to define the model, the business model, because I may have a B2C model originally, which will end up being a B2B. So defining the business model is essential to define whether it'll be profitable or not. What are the risks, the challenges of these models? We may talk about scale, like Pablo did. When we talk of bioecon, there's a scale model that's very important. We have just analyzed 32 bio projects in Mendoza, and the common denominator of these bio businesses had to do with scale. The 32 bio projects required scaling, and if it was to be profitable, it could not be a small scale. It had to be a large scale project. I need to work as a network. Maybe not necessarily, but we need to build a value chain where economy again has a go. Part of the value chain may be somebody giving me biomass, and then I would be transforming it. But maybe there will be a third party to reach the consumer. So persons working with biomass today work on a B2B scheme, but many of the opportunities have to reach the consumer. So certain companies do not know specifically the consumer and will not be able to change the business model if they want to sell to a wine producer, or if they want to sell to a final user selling cosmetics. So changing the business model becomes a challenge if we are thinking bioeconomy. Other challenges, quality and availability of the raw matter, the biomass. Again, Pablo was mentioning this, localization, quality are central. These businesses require to be close to the biomass because there's logistics costs implied. So are we going to be profitable if we need to move large volumes in distant places, and then we would be losing quality too? So the project may be thought as profitable, but may suffer from the above. And then another essential element is the team. When we talk biobusiness, we require differential capabilities. The chakra becomes central because it integrates different profiles, different trajectories. So here it says that in the company itself or via networks, scientific capabilities should be integrated with technological and entrepreneurial ones. Remember, many projects are based on science. We talk of biochemists, of physicists, of structural biochems. So science is at the basis, and the skills should be there in order to tap these biomass resources. And as I was saying, technological as well, and these skills differ from scientific skills when they have to become a final product, and combining also entrepreneurial skills. If we combine the three of them, our biobusiness will have a chance. The state of the art here, because we're talking of novelties, is not there yet. So many of these biotech companies are born from research institutions, universities, where the raw material is present but needs to be combined with these skills so as to end up with a product. We also require a collaborative culture, like Chakra has shown. This way of working is always effective. a work team that needs to integrate with AI. I don't know how many of you work with AI agents, that is, virtual persons who help us do things. If we're not doing this already, we need to know that many of our operational tasks may or will be replaced by AIs, and this will increase our productivity in a major fashion. In marketing, in finance, and other areas, how much of the revision or reviewing of documents is done without AI. All of that will be done by AI, answering messages and emails, etc. That will allow us to have more time to think strategically, to analyze better projects, redefining our business models, and finally thinking of effective leadership, well-being, and motivation. These trends in consumption belong with people who will be part of our teams. The consumer and the collaborator and the worker, the doer, will be there together. All interested parties interested in using these smart wallets. So, thinking the complexity of your teams, also strategically, you need to train your people, motivate your people, and that has a cost. So therefore, your analysis has to factor this in. I'm just about finished. In closing, a phrase that marketers use a lot, you know Peter Drucker, he says the purpose of marketing is making a sale unnecessary, that is, closing the sale becoming unnecessary because things sell for themselves, they sell well. So the purpose of analyzing trends, of formulating a project, the purpose of putting a good business model and a good team is making the sale closure unnecessary. The product will sell well without all of the above. Be sold and generate money. Thank you.
Bueno. Estamos muy cortos de tiempo, solo tenemos un par de minutos, tenemos que liberar la sala. Bien.
We just have a few minutes, 5, somebody's telling me, so we can consider a few questions that we have received from the audience. How to look for balance in your business model so that rationality won't become or will continue to be a barrier, but rather a jumping board. Rationality as a barrier, it's a difficult question to stop being a barrier and rather becoming a jumping board. You need to understand whether I am an entrepreneur or a scientist or a manager. The answer will be different depending on where I stand and the information that I have. I can use all of that information rationally, but not making my rationality a barrier. Collaborating is a clear way of enriching a vision and sharing and building a successful business model. Maxi. What are the main bottlenecks in the projects you're working on? Well, if I opened my mouth in detail, Well, the main bottleneck is our own limitations when we want to decide what business to take up and how much to invest. In our chakra, we are all jumpers. Some of them put up the brake, but mostly we are on the side of the jumping board. It's not that we have excessive money. We all chip in. We are not major businessmen here. We do not own Windows or Tesla, but we are willing to take a risk, and I think that's it. The bottleneck, you create your own bottlenecks, but I always underscore the fact that we have a team, that we have consultants nearby and at hand, and they help us move ahead. But we are in Argentina. We have problems all around, all the time. So we need to understand how to solve them as effectively as possible. One last question, and we have to leave the room. For Maxi as well. The frost triggered doing something different. How did you change your working logic from farmer to what you do now? Well, this chakra was going to be a chakra for yield gaps, aiming to yield gaps, getting on that bandwagon as something new. But the founders in the origin saw things in a different fashion. What pushes you to become an investor is opening your minds, your mindset, doing this or that with corn. Am I oiling my machinery right? We need to change our frame of mind, thinking consumption in a different way. We are farmers, we thought. Many of the ones who are sitting here probably are on collagen, and maybe we can think, maybe that's a niche where we would be interested in getting in collagen. It's being open-minded, identifying the niche and going ahead and doing it. Thank you very much. It's been a deluxe panel. Thank you all.